It's a strong draft class. It is absolutely stacked.
And May will keep it and coming in for Drake May. It's caught. Here's Harrison. It's touchdown, Marvin Harrison Jr. Dump and taken down by Jared Curse. It's broken up by Terry and Arnold. To the field, and it's intercepted. Arnold. Daniels. Back right corner of the end zone. Drops it in. He's got Bauer. He's taken down behind the line of scrimmage. Dallas Turner chased him down to the end zone. Neighbors holds it in again. To the 10, to the 5. And Williams takes a shot up the field. Has Washington.
Welcome to Mock Draft Live, everybody. It's everyone's favorite guessing game. I'm Colleen Wolfe alongside Bucky Brooks. We have Rhett Lewis here today with his mock. Yes. Daniel Jeremiah, our expert, is at home. He is resting up for his big week in Detroit. Yes. Solar eclipse week, guys. Did anyone look at the sun?
With proper safety measures, of course. I also recommend that's how you take in my mock draft, is with those glasses on.
We'll get the glasses on. Amazing. DJ, are you ready for this?
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm just going to go with the teacher glasses. I've got my red pen here. All right, let's go. Let's grade some papers here, everybody. Let's dig in.
Well, hold on a second. Colleen, I don't know if you've noticed, but like this, the positive responses have been overwhelming. Like people are saying this is going to be like the first 32 out of 32 mock.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm so excited for you. That's amazing. Yeah. You know, the comment section, it's always just like a perfect pool of positivity.
Oh, yes.
Let's get into it, gang. Nothing crazy off the top here. Red, it's the Bears and Caleb Williams first overall.
Yeah, look, we're not breaking news here, right, Colleen? And DJ, I'm going to steal a line from your playbook when talking about prospects. When we've seen everything we need to see, we're laminating, right, their draft report. Well, let's just laminate that quote-unquote selection card for Ryan Poles. Let's just send that thing off to Detroit, put it there at the draft hall, and let it sit until we need to actually turn it in. This is happening.
Okay, this is happening.
Yeah.
It's definitive. It basically has already happened. Ryan Poles, he has the number one pick for the second year in a row. So DJ, now that he's using it, actually this time for a quarterback, how can he put this quarterback into a better position than those who came before him?
Well, I think the groundwork's already been laid. You know, you look at what they did in the trade last year with Montez Sweat to have a functional defense. So whoever your first pick isn't having to chase points because you got a terrible defense. They played really well in the second half. And then you go out and you get a Keenan Allen to add him to this receiving core with DJ Moore. They've done some nice things to put a very quarterback-friendly setup in place. Now, they've got some more work to do, maybe some offensive line things, but they can get that accomplished in this draft.
Look, I just absolutely love what they've done thus far. You talk about Keenan Allen being able to come on board. You put him with DJ Moore. I just believe it would be nice if later in the first round they can maybe find another big body pass catcher to kind of put out there to make sure that Caleb Williams has everything that he needs. We just talk more playmakers, more weapons, allow the point guard to be able to get on the fast break and do point guard type stuff.
Yeah,
Bucky's already reading ahead.
I know, right? I mean, listen, like we gotta pace ourselves here, Bucky. Here we go, though. We're gonna go to the Commanders up next, and Rhett's sending this quarterback to FedEx Field.
Make it legendary.
And May going downtown, got a receiver on the money, and another beautiful toss. Drake May a touchdown. May's gonna take a shot right down the chimney.
So Sam Howell out, Rhett, replaced by his best friend?
Yeah, so the Commanders are going to take another trip to Chapel Hill. Hope this one works out a little bit better here. And look, I think the Commanders have been attached or connected to just about every quarterback in this class here. And I think a lot of the talk has been around the athleticism that Cliff Kingsbury, their new OC, has kind of had in his career. But let's not forget that Drake May's got some athleticism in addition to the elite traits as a passer. He rushed for over 1,200 yards in his career. He can get it done when you need to get out of trouble as well. So I like Drake to the Commanders.
Okay, and then our third quarterback off the board to New England with Jaden Daniels.
Let's get some juice up to New England. And I think,
need it.
yes, they do. Jaden Daniels certainly brings that. Now, he will not have the luxury of having the NFL equivalent of Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. currently there in New England, but I think his elite athleticism, playmaking ability gives them a chance to still kind of create some explosive plays there, even as they try to upgrade that supporting cast around him.
Okay, so he's in New England for his official visit this week. But I do want to talk about these last two picks here because, Bucky, you had Drake May falling to 11 to the Vikings in your last mock draft. So has Rhett at this point really convinced you?
He hasn't quite convinced me, but we have more time because there are more mock drafts to get to. But I do like the possibility of Drake May going there. If we talk about the prototype and the guy with the highest ceiling, Drake May certainly could be in that conversation. This dude is super talented, elite arm talent, elite athleticism. Didn't have the consistency that would make it a slam dunk to make him the number 2 overall pick. But if you're Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and you're betting on upside, look, this is the prospect that you want to gamble on because he has all that.
Okay, well, DJ, as of your last mock draft, I'm checking all sorts of receipts here. You're aligned with Rhett on Jaden Daniels to the Patriots. So what does Gerard Mayo's first quarterback bring to the team there?
First of all, never align me with Rhett. So let's just get that out of the way. It's just a coincidence, or he cheated off my paper. Let's just call that what it was. But when I look at Jaden Daniels, let's jump into the film. I can show you why this would be exciting for the New England Patriots. First, you go back in history, started off at Arizona State. How about this one? This is Brandon Ayuk beating his 49er teammate Lenore there on the go ball. But when everything took off for him, it was this season at LSU where he displayed that deep touch and accuracy. That full field read progression, he used those virtual reality goggles during the week to prepare. I think that really helped him getting through progressions, getting backside. And then if everything's taken away, he still has this in case of emergency break glass trait, which is elite top end speed to take off and go and make things happen. In terms of the fit, look, there's a lot of help needed for this New England team. When you look at the numbers and you see tied for last in points per game, 30th in yards per game, 31st in third down, they need a lot of work, but he can erase a lot of those problems with his natural ability and his athleticism.
I mean, that's the appeal. The appeal is that Jaden Daniels can make up for some of the things that they're lacking, some of the deficiencies that they have on the outside, the offensive line stuff. He's a spectacular playmaker. When you watched him at Arizona State, didn't go to LSU, the growth that he's made, the development that he's made, I can see him being a nice fit for there. Alex Van Pelt could have a lot of fun diagramming and designing an offense that allows him to maximize his full talents.
Yeah, he can do a little bit of everything. Led the FBS in passing yards and rushing yards per attempt last season, and that is something that offense sorely needs, just an injection of all sorts of talent. So it starts right there. Let's go to Arizona, though, now on the clock. Rhett has them staying put at 4 and drafting wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr.
What? No trade? Come on. Yeah.
What is this?
Look, the Cardinals got fancy last year with the picks moving up and down the draft board. Credit to Monty Austin for it there. This year they get fancy with the player, and that is Marvin Harrison Jr., best wide receiver in this class. And I know the gap between the next couple of guys isn't that big. And while, a guy like Malik Neighbors might be in consideration here, he's kind of like that Lamborghini of this class. But Marvin Harrison is the Rolls Royce. He is the classic, right? Great smooth body control. You love that. Kind of has a lot of that stuff that you loved about his dad, Marvin Harrison, but in a much bigger frame. So I love this pick right here. And who's turning down a Rolls Royce?
I mean, no one. He didn't even have to test. I mean, not even taking it for a test drive, really. You're just like, that's it. That's mine.
Way to
That's
work,
for
Colleen.
me. Next wide receiver goes at 6 to the Giants. Rhett likes Malik Neighbors to join Daniel Jones.
Yeah, all right. So now let's get the Lamborghini, shall we?
Sure, I love a Lambo.
Look, we all do, right? And Daniel Jones will as well. I mean, the Giants have been searching for a number 1 receiver since they traded Odell Beckham Jr. to Cleveland. And it just so happens that they go back to LSU to get another one. I mean, you want to talk about explosiveness. I think just massive amounts of potential for big-time production here. And I think Daniel Jones in this offense sorely needs a playmaker of this caliber.
So let's go to, we're going to show you all of Rhett's picks, but while we're on receivers here, the Bears grab one at 9 for Caleb Williams with Rome Odunze.
Yeah, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the top of the show, right? Look, you started, the day taking Caleb Williams, but now you got to go to work for him. Go to bat for him. Continue to support him. Yeah, you went and got Keenan Allen. You still got DJ Moore. more, Cole Kmet, but let's continue to add, like Rome Odunze. Yeah, you could get a tackle here, but I kind of view this in a way that the Cincinnati Bengals did a couple of years ago when they were deciding between Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase. They opted for Chase. Was a great shot, great decision. I think this could prove some similar dividends for the Bears going with the wideout.
So looking at all of the variables on paper here, let's play a dangerous game, DJ, which incoming rookie here has the potential to put up Puka Nacua-like numbers this season. We haven't seen those numbers before in the past. I know that it was an incredible year for him, but who has the most talent that could do that if all of the stars aligned?
Well, first of all, I know if you're watching, you're probably thinking Rhett just forgot picks 5 and 7. No, they're out there. He actually did it. I know you were thinking that. We're just focusing on the wideouts here. But to me, Odunze to the Bears. When you look at him fitting into that wide receiver room, and you think about Caleb Williams, getting the start there and trying to turn a page here for this organization, Keenan Allen's going to get attention, DJ Moore's going to get attention, and Rome Odunze is going to make things happen. Not only on some third downs with that big frame, I think once you get in the red zone, he's got a chance to have a big touchdown season as a rookie. So I'll go Rome Odunze with the Bears.
Okay, you'll go Odunze. So, Bucky, why is Harrison then the consensus #1 wide receiver off the board in most mocks?
I think people are looking at the total body work. They're looking at the size. They're looking at the dominance that he had over Big Ten competition. And they also understand the bloodlines, the legacy, the family business. This is a guy that really reminds me of Larry Fitzgerald and how Larry Fitzgerald was able to dominate the league for over a decade. Big, physical, great hands, smooth route runner. You may not see the elite speed that you see from some playmakers, but every time I look at the tape, he doesn't get caught from behind. To me, he strikes me as the prototypical #1 receiver that has played in this league for a long time. You put him in, you anchor the passing game with Marvin Harrison Jr., and you just watch the stats pile up.
Yeah, and Puka had a quarterback that could get the ball to him in Matthew Stafford. So with those two paired together, Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr., that future could be bright. Love it. Okay, so we're bouncing around a little bit in this first tier. Let's go back to number 8, though, because, time isn't linear, guys. Is this the edge rusher the Falcons have been dreaming and prophesizing about?
Yes, and look, after really loading up on the offensive side of the ball the last 3 drafts and then dropping Kirk Cousins in now, I feel like the offense is in a pretty good spot. So let's go in and then get another player at one of these premier positions. Best player at the position of Dallas Turner. Elite athleticism that we saw at the Combine. 83-inch wingspan. He uses those long arms to his advantage. And I think this is a guy that's going to become an absolute force off the edge there in Atlanta.
The Falcons haven't had a double-digit sack guy since
Vic Beasley?
Vic Beasley in 2016.
Nice.
It feels like forever. Okay, as promised, Rhett's picks here 1 through 9. The Chargers go tackle with Joe Alt, and the Titans also build up front with Penn State's Olu Fashanu. So 3 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers, 2 tackles, and 1 edge rusher ahead of pick 10. Will national champion J.J. McCarthy be the next man up? He's still waiting on a call. Where's Rhett sending him,
Be
though?
patient, J.J.
I know, that's what everyone needs to be patient here. Be patient during this break. We'll be right back.
The time is now.
McCarthy to throw in the end zone.
The time is now.
And there goes J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy throws. Caught. Touchdown, Wolverines. He's gone deep. The catch is made.
You want the best. The time is now.
Rhett's getting spicy here with a trade. The Broncos move up to take J.J. McCarthy 10th overall.
Sit tight, Vikings friends. We'll get to you here in just a second. But yes, the Broncos moving up a couple of spots in a move that feels much more palatable to the resources that they actually have available to them. They don't have to go out and spend all the future first-round picks to go get their QB, and they get a quarterback I believe Sean Payton is going to love for his football IQ, for his competitiveness, and for some of those elite tight window throws he can make.
So the Broncos could use an instant impact presented by Microsoft Surface. DJ, you had McCarthy going 4th in a different trade scenario. If he's still available at 10, do you like the Broncos moving up, and are they the right partner for him?
Now, I think it makes a lot of sense. I actually like this one a lot from Rhett. And if you look at, I'm assuming, Rhett, you're talking about pick 76, their 3rd round pick, more than likely. to get him there. So now
Yeah.
you need to have a Rams. Yeah, there you go. You need to have a Rams draft, what Les Snead has done. They have 3 5th-round picks, 2 6th-round picks. So that's where you're going to have to really get your scouting on if you're the Denver Broncos to fill out the rest of this draft class. But I like this move and relatively cheap.
Yeah, relatively cheap. You get a winning player, someone that Sean Payton certainly would want to work with. The toughness, the IQ, the athleticism, all there. It's about Sean Payton being able to get the young player ready to play.
Man, all of these trades for the Broncos between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton and now this, I mean, they are really tripling down on everything.
We got to find one at some point, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
At some point, one will hit. Let's skip ahead, though, a couple picks to the next quarterback going 13th. Rhett mocking Michael Penix Jr. to the Raiders.
5 QBs in the top 13.
Hey now.
And look, I mean, this dude is a Raider, right? We are pushing the ball deep. We are challenging the defense down the field. Look, I firmly believe that Michael Penix has the best arm talent, natural arm talent as a passer in this draft. So
It
why
sounds like
not
you're
sit
trying
there?
to convince people of this.
Let's go. Let's set this thing up. This makes sense. I mean, he's going to paint Devontae Adams up the way that he hasn't seen since he was doing it with Aaron Rodgers in their prime together back in Green Bay. This is going to be an awesome fit in Las Vegas.
Bucky, what would he bring to Vegas?
Look, he's a deep ball specialist. He is a big play hunter. He's going after it. He has an attack mentality. And for the Raiders, I think it works. This guy pushes the ball down the field like no other. When you watched him play at UW, yes, he had a supporting cast that was terrific, but it's the subtle movement in the pocket and the darts that come after he moves around to the playmakers. He gets it. He drops it in the bucket time after time again. I think I heard Rhett talk about like natural thrower, maybe most natural thrower that we've talked about, that we've seen.
Yeah.
Someone that can absolutely do it. He drives it in there. I mean, he's a flamethrower. And the fact that he did it, Pac-12 championship game, I think it was an Allegiant Stadium,
Yes.
Raiders Stadium.
Yes.
Maybe,
Yes.
just maybe.
Ooh.
Mark
Connect the
Davis
dots.
had a front row seat for that. I could see this lining up. I would love to see Michael Penix go to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think you see the magic happen.
I love that connection. That's awesome. I'm going to be using that
There we
on
go.
a later date at a different show. All right, so from pick 13 to 19, a 6th quarterback drafted in Rhett's mock. Let's find out who it is.
Here's Bo Nix. Guns it! Nix clumsy on top, and he's got another touchdown. Nix over the middle. The man is open, and the catch is made. Nix wants it all. He's got a wide open man.
So Bo Nix makes his mock draft live debut. Rhett, you're the first person on the show to put
everybody
Bo
doing?
in the first round, and you have Minnesota trading up to get him instead of taking him at 11.
Yeah, look, I think we all kind of assumed when the Vikings got that 23rd pick from the Texans that they were going to use it to package a move up the draft board. Well, I mean, they do, just not all the way up to 4 or 5, instead going from 23 just ahead of the Rams in case LA was thinking about maybe a future plan for the post-Matthew Stafford world. I like this fit. I think he's kind of similar, to J.J. McCarthy and the athleticism and some of the accuracy that he has. And extremely experienced guy, and sit there with Sam Darnold. And I think that this gives the Vikings some real options for the future there at quarterback.
6 quarterbacks
Let's
in
go.
the first
Yeah.
Come on,
round.
let's go.
That would tie a record
Drama.
set in the 80s, 1983.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of drama. So, DJ, you didn't have Nix as a day one guy in your last mock, but we love hypotheticals here. That's what we do. That's what this is. So, take us through how this fit.
Well, first of all, it's ironic. Bo Nix has started 61 games, and Rhett's mock draft is 61 pages. We could condense that down a little bit next time, Rhett. But to
get
me,
one.
when you look at Bo Nix, well, I know, apparently, it's a long one. A War and Peace looks like a pamphlet compared to that thing. But when you watch Bo Nix on tape, you talk about the arm strength. To me, he's a little bit bigger, a little sturdier than he gets credit for. I think people think, it's a little dink and dunk. You can see evidence of him driving the ball. You can see evidence of this as well. A little off-platform, showing some of that creativity. The ball handling, this is the sign of somebody who started a lot of football. He's very polished with that, footwork-wise. Ball handling, exceptional. The athletic ability, you go back to Auburn, you can see some incredible runs. Dialed that back a little bit at Oregon, more functioning from the pocket. But to me, I think he gets punished a little bit for the system that he's in. They get the ball out, it's RPOs, the ball's out quick. The completion percentage, obviously, he set a record with how efficient he was throwing the football. But when you watch, you really said it, you'll see some things down the field. You'll see some off-platform throws. I just think his talent's a little bit better than he's getting credit for, so I'm glad Rhett put him in there.
Yeah, I'm glad. And I think it comes on the heels of Brock Purdy having a lot of success. And the common denominator between Bo Nix and Brock Purdy, the experience. Entering the league with a bunch of reps under your belt, understanding how to play the game at a high level, and being a winning quarterback. This is someone who rebuilt his career after really struggling at Auburn, goes to Oregon, finds a way to kind of connect and click in this offense. We see the confidence, we see the composure. I just believe this guy is going to be a very solid pro at the next level. I can understand why you want to jump back in the bottom of the first round to make sure that you get this talent.
Yeah, I think the system helps him. I think Justin Jefferson's going to certainly help his cause here if he gets the call to start week 1. But I also think that the Vikings can win some games with Sam Darnold if they absolutely have to. Although Bo Nix certainly has the experience, it feels like, to make an impact right away if called upon. Dude's a competitor. Dude's a winner. I think he's going to have the respect of the locker room and his teammates there as he did at Oregon. And I like this thought process here for the Vikings. They don't have to mortgage future picks to go and make their quarterback selection. And DJ, I mean, like, these guys were close in your top 50. J.J. McCarthy's closer to Bo Nix than he is to Drake May or Jaden Daniels. So I kind of feel comfortable with where this ends up.
Yeah, and when you...
No, I like it. To me, I think it makes sense. I'm in, Colleen. I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to criticize Rhett on this one. There's more to come, but I like this one.
All right, DJ, that was great. Listen, I'm loving this draft so far, Rhett. It's really panning out.
18 out of 18 right now? I think
yeah,
we got
exactly. So the Vikings, by the way, used their previous pick to draft a corner, Terrion Arnold, 11th overall, Rhett.
Yeah, so look, I think we know that Brian Flores likes that aggressive mentality, and so needs a cornerback that's going to be able to hold up in the face of some of that zero blitz work. And I think Terrion Arnold has the mentality, has the makeup, and the skill set to get it done, having competed for Nick Saban there in the SEC. Yeah, look, the 40 time, you'd love that to be a little bit faster, but I think we've all seen him play faster during his time there in Tuscaloosa.
So this is the first corner off the board in your mock, and we have
There's
more to come. But at 12, the Jets are up after moving back with the Broncos, and they beef up that O-line with Talisa Fuanga out of Oregon State.
Yeah, look, I think this is kind of a win-win for the Jets. They get to accumulate a little bit more draft resource here and in the trade with the Broncos, and then they still get one of the top 3 tackles in this draft to kind of help them in the event that their aging yet still solid tackles, Morgan Moses, Tyron Smith, aren't available all season long. I like this selection here with Fuanga.
I'm glad that you like it because I like it too.
Yes.
So since we have skipped around a little bit, let's give you the full picture right here. Picks 10 through 18. Fuanga joined by 2 more offensive linemen as Latham heads to NOLA and Fa'utanu goes to Seattle. 3 more quarterbacks are off the board, and the Colts pick up Georgia tight end Brock Bowers for Anthony Richardson. That should be a nice connection. I like it. And we have more picks ahead. Find out who Rhett is sending to Philadelphia. Perhaps a defender.
Go easy on me,
watching
Colleen.
this video here. We'll have more picks after this. With the 19th pick, the Rams try to fill the void left by Aaron Donald with Florida State's Jared Verse, Rhett.
Yeah, look, and I think we all love what Kobe Turner did for the Rams last year as a rookie. Now they get a player out on the edge to kind of help tandem there. Jared Verse, look, admittedly, this is late for Verse. I'm not sure he's going to be there at 19, but I do love this opportunity for the Rams to upgrade their pass rush here, coming off the edge and then getting after some of these quarterbacks and offenses here in the NFC West in particular.
Let's skip ahead to 21, another edge rusher gone. Miami calls up UCLA's Latu from LA area, and he goes right to South Beach. So nice for him.
Yeah, look, I like this one. I think there's some real need for pass rushing help given the injuries to Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. So maybe you prefer to go to a guy that doesn't have a history of injury. That's somewhat of a concern with Latu, but you love the technician aspect of his game. A polished pass rusher, I think, gives you day one impact coming off the edge down there in Miami.
Yeah, it's a real impact player. Love his burst and energy coming off the edge. He gives him double-digit sack potential.
Yeah, and Rhett brought up the injury history. So, DJ, where are you on that?
Well, you'll be shocked to know I was not a a doctor coming out of Appalachian State. I
Get
would not
outta
say that
here.
nor do I know if they even have a medical program. To be totally honest with you. But to me, when you look at the fact he's played healthy the last 2 years, had 2 productive seasons, doesn't appear to have been an issue there. I mean, that's a good sign. Now, when you're medically retired from one university, obviously your team doctors are going to do their homework on that, and you're going to be beholden to whatever that opinion is, because I don't care how smart you are, you're not going to overrule your doctors. They're going to give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But I do think the last 2 years, being healthy and productive, that helps the case.
Yeah, the production is everything. You talk about 23 and a half sacks, 33 and a half tackles for loss the last few years since he's been at UCLA. You gamble on that. This guy is an impact player coming off the edge, very disruptive.
Yeah, and you talk about facing adversity. My goodness, he absolutely has, and then some.
Yeah.
And that's what the NFL is all about. Let's go to the Eagles, speaking of facing adversity. And they are on the clock here. Rhett, you have them taking Clemson's Nate Wiggins for that defense that desperately needs it.
I feel like this is the most pressure-packed pick of my mock draft sitting next to you, Colleen. Am I passing the test here with Nate Wiggins? Is this okay? I feel like upgrading.
I'll stand with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Upgrading the secondary is a big-time priority, it feels like, here for Philadelphia, and we go get some serious speed here to keep up with some of the elite receivers that the Eagles are going to face. So I do like this pick here for this fit, rather, with Wiggins going to Philly.
So, Bucky, what kind of value will Wiggins bring to the Eagles' defense? That speed.
Yeah, the speed is certainly there, but I think the biggest decision that Wiggins has to make is it whiz or no whiz when he goes and picks out the cheesesteak in Philadelphia. Which one does it? Because we got to bulk him up. We got to fatten him up. And
We're
when
not
you look at
doing
the
whiz.
tape,
We're not doing
whiz.
nuclear orange-colored cheese.
we can do that. It kind of reminds me of being at Clemson, maybe. Like when you look at him, this is a guy that is a terrific playmaker. He has great footwork, outstanding turns and transitions. He consistently makes plays on the ball. You see the speed. The speed is real when you watch him. You see him tracking down. He has all of that stuff that you want to see. The one question that you're going to have is he going to be tough enough to come up and make tackles in the running game? Because against the pass, he's everything that you're looking for in a prototypical number one corner. It's about the toughness and the tackling. He answers those questions. He absolutely would be a fit in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's interesting, Buck, when you watch him and you show the video there, fluidity, he's explosive and fast. You don't run the time he did without showing you how explosive he is. But that's what it's going to come down to. And I think the days of saying, you're a cover corner, we pay you to cover, that's your job, those days are over. You're going to see these bunch formations at the next level. They're going to bring you into the run game. That's kind of, Sean McVay, Shanahan, they've changed this around the league. If you have a corner who does not tackle well, who does not want to tackle, you're going to get exposed. So he's going to have to show a little more physicality, a little more want to in the run game. But make no mistake about it, as a pure cover guy, he's as talented as anybody in the draft.
You know what? For Nate Wiggins, what he needs to do is head on down to the Italian market,
Okay, now we're talking.
Angelo's, and get himself a cheesesteak with American cheese and fried onions.
He doesn't need to go to Wawa.
Well, I mean, he needs to go to Wawa too, but that's his whole separate experience, Bucky. We've talked about this before. Picks 19 through 27, 4 more offensive linemen go. The Bucks get Baker another target, and the Cardinals get some help on defense from Texas's Byron Murphy. So lots of teams hoping they'll pick their very own Puka Nacua or Tank Dell. Big Puka day on this show. When we get back, we're giving out some advice free of charge. I know exactly. Listen, you're welcome. This is a service that we offer here. We'll be back after this. So Angelo's Pizza, guys. Well, the draft is almost here, just a couple weeks away, and we're going to Detroit Thursday, April 25th, 8 p.m. Eastern. How many quarterbacks will go off the top? Who's moving up? Who's moving back? And where will the night take us all? You can catch the entire draft on NFL Network and on NFL Plus. So, Rhett, you see the first round closing out with a run on defense, starting with the Bills taking corner Cooper DeJean at 28.
Yeah, look, I think recency tells us, after the Stephon Diggs trade, Bills got to get a wide receiver. Well, they also lost Tre'Davious White, and they've had some departures in the secondary. Cooper DeJean gives them a fantastic corner out there on the outside, but also with that added ability to be a returner for you. get the ball in his hands, good things happen, as you've seen the last few years in Iowa City. So I like the fit here. Cooper DeJean, terrific corner, added return value.
Yeah, and can play safety too, so
Yep.
he just has that positional flexibility. At 29, the Lions pick up the Kool-Aid man, Brad Holmes, back at it again.
I think this fits the culture there in Detroit, the grit, the toughness. I mean, Kool-Aid has spent this entire draft process working through a fracture in his foot and still getting out there and performing for teams. I think maybe didn't have the type of play this season that would warrant being the number one corner off the board, but he's not far off here, and the Lions desperately need some help out there on the perimeter.
Yeah, the Lions corners allowed the most passing touchdowns in coverage in the NFL last season, so they could use it. And then as if Baltimore's defense wasn't scary enough last year, Rhett has them taking Johnny Newton with the 30th pick.
Yeah, and look, I think the Ravens are in a spot with their roster where they could really go almost anywhere. Best player
What a
available,
luxury.
certainly. What a luxury.
Yeah.
Rings true here, and this is something that I think that they would get some real value out of, adding some depth. A heavy-handed pass rusher, undersized maybe, a little over 300 pounds as an interior defender, but can play kind of up and down the defensive line. He's got excellent burst and juice coming off the line. So I love Jerzon Newton here to the Baltimore Ravens.
Just adding to that number one scoring defense from last season. Then at 31, the Niners sitting pretty. They pick up edge rusher Chop Robinson to play with Nick Bosa and Leonard Floyd. This is scary.
Yeah, Chase Young gone, right? And so now we find another edge rusher to pair there across from Nick Bosa. Look, like Dallas Turner, I mean, this dude's got elite athleticism, just didn't have the production at Penn State to maybe match the potential that you thought he was going to get. But, look, I think Chris Kasurik is one of the best defensive line coaches in the league, and so I think he'll bring that production out of Chop Robinson.
All right, well, DJ also had Chop going to the Bay Area, but Bucky, do you think that the Niners at this point should use a first-round pick on this position since they are deep there, even though they had some losses? It's they can kind of go in a couple different directions here.
Yeah, it's wide open for them, but I would say build strength on strength. When the Niners are at their best is because their D-line is dominating at the point of attack, and they're rolling multiple bodies in. They haven't been able to do that the last couple of years. Chop Robinson gives them a young defender to work with. That D-line coach, Chris Kasurik, is one of the best in the business in terms of helping guys go to the next level. Chop Robinson certainly has the athleticism and the traits to be a dominant pass rusher. Now we put him in an environment where he should take his game to another level.
Yeah, look, I love Chop Robinson as a player, and I'm with you guys in terms of the depth and having waves of pass rushers, something that they believe in there. The only thing I would say just keep an eye on is that you look at their offensive line. If there's an offensive lineman, and this is a pretty good draft, especially at the tackle position, if they feel confident and comfortable with one of those guys, I think that's another area that they could look. In this scenario, though, you're probably just making the choice on best available player, and Chop Robinson would carry that grade.
DJ, and I think that I thought that way for the Ravens too there, but 9 offensive linemen in this kind of scenario had already been gone. Do you think we get a 10th there? And who would that be? Is Jordan Morgan the next guy that probably comes off in that scenario?
Well, I think you start looking at those interior guys. Zach Frazier, keep an eye on him of where he's going to land in this thing, because there's a lot of love for him around the league.
Rhett, we did the Lance Zierlein mock draft last week.
That was the all-offensive lineman mock?
All-offensive line mock.
Okay.
So this all-defense, Buffalo and Detroit grab a pair of corners, and the Ravens and the Niners add Johnny Newton and Chop Robinson to their defenses. And Mizzou corner Ennis Rakestraw closes out the round, heading to Kansas City.
To the end zone, caught, touchdown Harrison again. Rising to the occasion is Marvin Harrison Jr. Bowers heading to the end zone. Man, is he devastating after the catch. That's Brock Bowers. There's the shot to Odunze. And it's caught. Odunze. Malik Neighbors. My, oh my. Malik Neighbors is just lighting it up this morning. The catch made by Brian Thomas. He's got another touchdown. Just straight speed from Brian Thomas. How pretty was that?
All right, Bucky, as we continue taking a look at the mock drafts here, you and I both agree in our latest mock drafts that we're going to give the Arizona Cardinals Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4. But let's look beyond that 4th spot for some other wide receiver needy teams potentially here and find some good fits. Now, look, Chargers are one of those teams, right? But I am not going to contradict my mock draft hours after its release, right? So what I'm going to do here is say that they are still going to take Joe Alt at number 5, and we're going to move down into the second round, perhaps at 37, and find a young man named Roman Wilson. Obviously, there is some familiarity there with the coach connection, the Michigan connection with Jim Harbaugh. He is an egoless receiver. He knows how Jim Harbaugh wants to win on offense and is okay with it. Yeah, the production isn't, up there with Neighbors and Harrison and all that. But at one point in the second half of the season, this dude was leading the country in touchdown catches. So when it matters, he is a guy you can count on. He is a big-time clutch player. He is a separator. I go back to that Rose Bowl game, and that catch he made to get this thing into overtime for Michigan was huge. I love the opportunity that he has maybe to pair up with a more developed Quentin Johnston and form a nice duo there in LA.
Well, I like that. I also like the fact that Jim Harbaugh brings some of his guys to kind of let the culture be spread throughout the locker room. We understand how terrific and dynamic he is. I think he's nice with Josh Palmer. You have Quentin Johnston. You have him in the middle. I think it works.
Okay, so let's move to the Atlanta Falcons. Hey, look, they have spent a lot of capital on the skill position, but let's say they want to continue to add for Kirk Cousins.
Okay, so I think they need to add a different type receiver. You think about how big they are. Have Kyle Pitts on one side, Drake London.
Yeah.
How about Malik Neighbors to add a little juice to this lineup? When we look at Kirk Cousins and how Kirk Cousins wants to operate, he wants to be an intermediate thrower. He wants to work from 10 to 20 yards, put the ball in the hands of the playmakers, and let them go to work. Neighbors is one of the best playmakers after the catch. When you see him get the ball in his hands, he makes the magic happen in the open field. I think in Atlanta, that is exactly what is needed to complement the established receivers that are already there waiting. Particularly with Darnell Mooney also being there.
At this point, no excuses for the Falcons offense. They better produce and put some points on the board if that is the case. Let's move to the New York Jets here. And again, I'm going to stick with my first-round selection for the Jets, which was moving back a couple of spots and taking Talisa Fuaga, the offensive tackle. They don't have a second-round pick. They're not on the clock again until 72 in the third round as it currently stands. And look, I do think that Ricky Pearsall is probably going to be gone there, Bucky. But when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, I want reliability above almost anything else. And this is a good route runner. Again, a big-time separator. We saw his great work down at the Senior Bowl. He might be the most athletically gifted wide receiver in this class when you factor everything in. 40-time jumps, super explosive, big-time hands, capable of making big plays. And again, he's not going to drop balls, and he's going to be available for Aaron Rodgers. Sounds like he's a guy who understands where the quarterback wants him to be and needs to be, and that's going to allow him to make an impact early as a player, maybe opposite or alongside Garrett Wilson there with Aaron Rodgers.
All complementary players. I think they work well in their established environments. I kind of like this little trio.
There we go. Colleen, send it back to you.
I love it. I love it. And we have more to come, guys, because Rhett has 6 corners in his mock draft. When we get back, I know, it's crazy. We're breaking news to Rhett about this. When we get back, we'll get into the DBs. But first, get to know some of the top prospects in this year's draft class.
We get time for this?
Read the word and say the first word that pops to mind.
Salty or sweet? Sweet. Salty. Crush. Beyonce. Hobby. Play basketball. Video games. Fishing.
Nickname, Buddy Bow Wow.
Favorite food? Pork chops.
Pineapple on pizza? No. Squabble dance. Oh, see, I thought y'all talking about this squabble. Zodiac sign, Scorpio.
Aries. Love. I believe in it.
You know, let me get into this one. Draft soon. Biggest day of my life.
I hope I get drafted high.
Okay, cool. All's almost done.
Well, how exciting is this? Draft season, it's here. We're in it. We're in the thick of it. Path to the Draft airs weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network and streaming on NFL Plus. Our experts are putting their final evaluations on every major prospect. I'm sure they'll have plenty to say about Terrion Arnold. Here he is on this edition of First Draft.
Intercepted by the Crimson Tide's Terrion Arnold.
My style of play is electrifying.
Terrion Arnold.
I'm the type of person, when you come into the games, you're saying, man, I don't know what Terrion is going to do today, but it's going to be something amazing.
Terrion Arnold. What an interception.
I pride myself on just putting on a show. At the end of the day, we're entertainers, so it's my job to go out there and represent a show that they've never seen before, hoping that they come back.
Is batted away. Terrion Arnold with great hands.
Terrion Arnold, defensive back, the University of Alabama. maintenance man, Mr. Biggs, Joe Biggs, man. I used to work with him during my free periods, and that was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. Just being around him, learning his story, knowing everything that he stood for. He always used to tell me, man, Terry, you treat me way better than I should be treated. I said, no, Mr. Biggs, you treat me better than I should be treated because you give me a lot of life advice, and I love hearing your stories. So I went back and gifted him with my jersey.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
I gifted him my college jerseys, so after I get drafted, Mr. Biggs, just know, wherever I go, you getting that jersey too. I'm pretty sure y'all see it in my interview skills and stuff like that, but like I tell people, I'm really an actor, but I'm a better rapper. I can really rap for real. You want something right now?
I do.
I say, make it at your city, they gonna envy you. I watched them change when I was broke, just look how pennies do. I put all my brothers on, I swear I'm living proof. Remember wishing on the star, now they in the roof. That's all y'all get right now though. The draft means so much to me because from a very young age, I knew this was something I could accomplish. I've told everybody I was gonna do this. I've seen it happen before. It's deja vu. Family might get a little emotional. I told them don't cry, just celebrate. But they probably will cry. I don't think I'm gonna cry though. But if I do cry, y'all can show this clip.
Okay, whatever team gets Terrion Arnold, those reporters are the luckiest reporters.
Locker room
and
legend.
Like, those
Yes,
players,
it's
the
gonna be awesome.
luckiest players. He has an incredible personality. These are the 6 corners that went in
6?
Rhett's mock draft. Are you surprised that 6 went?
I didn't count them at the time. It just now it feels like a lot.
I mean, it's good though. Hey, quarterbacks and cornerbacks, you are all over it. So let's do some pro comparisons here. Rhett, since you're our guest, you'll go first. Who do you think of when you watch Terrion Arnold?
Well, look, I think of the stickiness. I think of the mentality to be a corner, the competitive edge, and I think of Marshawn Lattimore from the New Orleans Saints. Now, he does not have the speed Terrion Arnold does that Marshawn Lattimore showed at the Combine when he ran a 4.3, but I think he's got kind of a similar skill set. And to be fair, when Lance Zierlein first published his report on Terrion Arnold and the comp came out as Marshawn Lattimore, I could not get that out of my head. I love the mental makeup that both those dudes have. Them against the other guy, and they're not going to lose. And we've seen some of those epic battles with Lattimore and Mike Evans and others at the NFL level. I think Terrion Arnold's got the makeup to deal with that.
Yeah, that's pretty nice to be compared to the former rookie of the year. Let's go to Quinyon Mitchell, Bucky.
Here we go. Let's talk about the hottest corner in the game right now. Let's compare him to L'Jarius Sneed, now of the Tennessee Titans. When I look at Quinyon Mitchell, the physicality and toughness is there. This guy has the tenacity that you want. He's built the right way. He's wired the right way. He's going to challenge people. And when you think about all of the athletic attributes that he's been able to display, from the All-Star game to the Combine to just watching what he does on tape, to me, he reminds me of the All-Pro corner that did his work in Kansas City for a bunch of years.
Okay, DJ, you and Rhett both think that Caitlin Clark won't be Iowa's only first-round pick.
Buckets!
Best comp for Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Eric Weddle when he was coming out of Utah. I know Bucky and I both scouted him, and somebody who played corner, then transitioned to safety at the next level. Remember him matching up with Calvin Johnson there at Utah when they played Georgia Tech. But just always around the ball, just a playmaker. He hasn't played a ton of safety, only a few snaps in college. Played a lot of nickel. He's played outside. He's played some linebacker, but he's a playmaker.
He's a playmaker, and whoever gets him will be absolutely lucky. I mean, Eric Weddle, we saw what he was able to do in the secondary and the versatility that he had.
And DeJean's pro day, I mean, coming off the injury, runs low 4.4. I mean, jumps out the gym. I mean, the guy's got it all. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him on the NFL level.
A lot of fun, like this mock was. You know, I waited an entire year for our reunion, and it just went by so quick. Next week, though, we have Peter Schrager.
Good luck, Schrags. Good luck beating this one.
For that, more mock madness, guys. Enjoy the week.